everything is always working out for me. I love and accept myself exactly the way I am. Oh, and by the way, money is flowing abundantly and freely into my life. I am a smart and competent woman.
Oh, please. Bad luck and losers follow you everywhere.
I accept good graciously into my life.
You are tired and you are lazy. And you will always be tired and lazy. And by the way, you're not actually that bright either.
Why is it that everything you're telling yourself is wrong? Think about a typical day for you. Does it start something like this? You start strong. You maybe look at your vision board if you have one, positive affirmation or two, a positive mantra. You pull out your chair in front of your desk, or you get ready to start serving customers. Does this sound like a typical day for you? Many of you?
And then it goes off the rails. And that negative voice in your head starts saying, I can't believe that stupid comment you made in the staff meeting. And I hate my dead-end job. And I'll always be fat because you just can't seem to make good choices at lunch.
Sound familiar? All day, every day, we are fighting a war with our subconscious brain. And we think we're the masters of our beliefs and thoughts, but actually we're the slaves to programming that we've downloaded from our past.
In other words, the story that you hear in your head is one that you've written with all manner of influences from your past. Maybe it was your parents who said that you would probably never amount to anything because you always had your head in the clouds. Or maybe it was your girlfriends in high school who managed to keep you insecure and feeling unattractive. Or maybe it was your priest who said, you are on the fast track to hell. You are a first-class sinner. Or maybe it was your ex. Maybe that's the voice you hear in the head. You know the one who said, it was always your fault. You never could get it right.
Over and over again, the story we tell ourselves in our head is one we didn't write. Let me repeat myself. Over and over again, the story you tell yourself in your head is one that you didn't write. It was written by all the other characters in your script, wasn't it? I can do this, I can't do that. That was really amazing. Oh, that wasn't very good. This is who you are. You're good at English, not good at math. Sound familiar? Who is the author of this script that we're repeating in our head over and over again?
Let's be clear. It isn't all dismal. Every now and again you have a surge of positivity. You have a rampage of positive thoughts. You read a great book. You go to an excellent lecture. You listen to a podcast. And you tell yourself, I'm going to change. And you do for a while. And then the power of that negative story pulls you back in. You're in a rut. You do what other people expect you to do. You hear the negative voice and the criticism of other people in your head, and it keeps you in line. Listen to the voice in your head. What is the message that it tells you? What is that message of negativity and criticism that it spews forth every day? What's it saying?
Now in a minute, we're going to ask you to do something courageous, but because you've been sitting here all day listening to these fabulous women, I know you're going to be able to do it. I want you to think about that critical, negative voice in your head. And I want you to find someone nearby you, just a minute, wait for a second, someone nearby, in front, behind, beside, but it's got to be somebody you don't know. It's got to be a stranger because you're here with your girlfriends and you're talking about stuff all day. It's got to be someone you don't know. And think about that thing, that voice in your head, what it's telling you all the time. Think about what that says. Is it saying you're not thin enough, you're not smart enough, you're not talented enough, whatever it is? I'd like you to take a deep breath. Do it with me. And I want you to say that to that stranger, that person. Go find that person now and say it. Be brave. Be courageous.
You
This is
can do
your
it.
day.
It's the end
Give
of the
you a
day.
minute to do it. You actually might need to stand up, just saying. Okay, just another 10 seconds. If you haven't said it, blurt it out. 10 seconds.
Take the ear.
Okay, let's have a seat again. There's people laughing over here. It couldn't have been that bad, hey? All right, now that you've done that, we have some questions we want to ask you. Okay, we want to ask you this. Did that sound true to you? Did that sound like who you really are? No, no, over here. Whose voice did it sound like? Whose voice was it? I can tell you who my voice is. Fill in the blank. Right. Does that sound like your voice? Or does it sound like this script you've been following every single day of your life?
Let's be clear. This is not about blame. You do not get to recognize that it's your mother's voice in your head and then begin to blame her for absolutely everything that's ever gone wrong in your life. Okay? Okay, this is about recognizing that it might not be your voice in your head. It might be the voice of your story. Did your parents have an impact on your growing up? Well, of course they did. Of course they did. But the way I see it, you're here today. You're here today, and that means you've decided to make some changes in your life. You've decided to take stock and say, hey, I think I might be different. That's why we're here.
Okay, in another minute, we're going to ask you to do the second courageous thing, which is I want you to find that same person. I'm really hoping it was a stranger on your honor system. And this time, you are going to tell that person something amazing and wonderful about you, something that you know in your heart is true about you, even though you've never told another human being. Maybe it's a secret. Something you know that if you could be that person without limitation, that's what you would be, because that's the real you. Go tell that person now. Give you a minute.
They jumped up a little faster that time.
Okay, about another 10 seconds. Okay, let's have a seat again if we could. Lots of hugs going on around the room. Nice to see that. Okay, this was something incredible about you that you know to be true, and maybe you had an aha moment today and you realize, oh man, this is it, and that they can do it. I can do it well. Congratulations. You have taken the first step to rewriting the story you've been playing out for most of your life. Do you want to spend some time talking about how you can make that a little bit better? Awesome.
Shona and I are public speaking coaches and public speaking experts, and this funny thing happened in the course of teaching business leaders how to be better speakers. They said to us, yes, thank you very much. We become more confident speaking in meetings, and we become more confident speaking to our bosses. But public speaking has transformed my life. Public speaking has transformed my life. Wait, what? There's something that happens when you stand on a stage, whether it's this kind of a stage or a small stage, and you do something that you've always told yourself that you cannot do, that leads you towards your authentic self. It's a catalyst to who you know you are, or maybe who you know you've always been. You do not have time to listen to that negative voice in your head when you are speaking in front of other people. You only have time to speak the truth. Your truth. And without really meaning to, you begin to reveal yourself. You begin to reveal your story. You begin to rewrite your story, and it spills over into your life. And guess what? It transforms it. Clearly, it was an unexpected result and one that was remarkable.
Now, we know not all of you may want to be on the stage like some of these amazing speakers that you've seen today, and that's okay. Sometimes your audience is just going to be forever and for always one person. Maybe it's your partner across the kitchen table from you. Maybe it's just looking at yourself in the mirror. It doesn't matter. Because the minute you start to be honest with yourself and speak your truth is the minute you can take those small steps. And they might be tiny, but you will start to rewrite your own story. And we'd like to share with you how that's worked for us.
I am a people pleaser. Oh, I hate to even say that aloud, but it's true. It must be because I have spent my whole life trying to make other people happy. And you're saying to me, well, Jan, that doesn't sound like a bad thing. Well, until you add before me in that sentence, that's a bit of a problem. I was adopted as a baby. And in my head, very unfortunately, that translated to, so you better be darn close to perfect, because if you're not, they might give you back. So I spent my whole life trying to be a model child. I think I did quite a good job. Thank you very much. And on my way to becoming a model adult, I was at university and I had to take a fine arts option. Now that means that I had to take a drama class. So, oh, there we go, that's a little better, isn't it? I had to take a drama class. I loved that course. It was spring. I was learning how to use my right brain. I was exercising my creativity. I might have met a man. It was all good. But that course taught me that I was a square peg in a round hole. And it wasn't long after that that I did my first television commercial audition. Now, don't get me wrong, this was in Edmonton, Alberta. It was a zillion years ago. It was not a Super Bowl destined ad by Budweiser. But in the process of connecting to the camera in that audition, I connected to a part of myself that I didn't actually even know was there, and it was totally new and totally cool. Now, I might not have been totally cool, but I was smart enough to realize that this was something pretty exciting, and maybe it was something I should pursue. So I packed everything up. I moved to Vancouver to become an actor. Yes, my parents were thrilled. Now, it's been a bit of a meandering path. And there's been some highs and lows, that's for sure, but it has brought me to this stage. And it has helped me realize what my message is, and to be able to stand here on the stage and tell it with a remarkable woman is pretty cool. And what I get now that I didn't get now, just by connecting and speaking my truth in front of the camera, I get that I was so busy trying to do what other people wanted me to do and be what other people wanted me to be, that I never bothered to notice what I really wanted. And it took a television commercial audition to change that. Who knew?
As for me, I grew up in a family where mistakes were not an option. Perfection was the only acceptable standard. Immigrant parents, pretty typical kind of situation. If I brought home a 97 on a test, my father would say, "What happened to the other 3%?" If I was happy or proud of something I'd accomplished, my mother would say, "Huh, you have a really high opinion of yourself, don't you?" Didn't matter what I did, I couldn't win. I talked too much in one situation. I didn't talk enough in another. I'd gained too much weight. I'd lost too much weight. I needed to clean my house. My house was too clean. It needed to look lived in. Didn't matter what I do. I could never please my parents, and I spent my whole life trying to live up to that. Consequently, I developed this belief system that I wasn't worthy of being successful. I certainly wasn't worthy of being happy, and I absolutely wasn't worthy of being loved. Not surprisingly, I married a carbon copy of my parents. Leah, you listen to me? I did it twice. Honey, you mean Elizabeth Taylor? Yeah. When I was going through my second divorce, I looked in the mirror one day and I said to myself, you know something? There's a common denominator in all of this stuff, and honey, it's you. Why are you making these destructive choices with your life? First time I'd ever really been completely honest with myself and overridden those stories I was given as a child. Interestingly, for my job, I was taking some public speaking training, to help me. I was doing a lot of presentations, and it really did. But the most remarkable thing that happened is what we've been talking about, is that in finding myself on stage and doing presentations, I found my voice. I found myself. And I was able to take control of my life, and that was the beginning of coming up with a whole grander vision of who I could be. And for 20 years now, I've been married to my third husband, who is wonderful. And by the way, he thinks I'm quite wonderful. And Dr. Sonia, he makes me dinner on Sunday nights. He's my cook. I have 2 children. I have 3 stepchildren, Leah. And you know something? They all think I'm pretty wonderful, too. Bonus, I get to travel the world with this amazing woman sharing this amazing message. Something I could never have conceived of 20 years ago.
If you can speak your truth aloud, if you can prove to yourself, just one time even, that you can do something that you have told yourself forever that you cannot do, it will catapult you. It can literally catapult you out of the rut that you have been living in. If you can teach yourself, and if you can train yourself, and if you can convince yourself to do just that one thing, maybe it's public speaking, maybe it's something else, but if you can just do that one thing and prove to yourself that you can do it, it's the beginning of change. It's the beginning of, you guessed it, transformation.
You have tremendous personal power inside you, just waiting to be uncovered. Speaking your truth, starting to rewrite your story will help you chip away at the rock you've buried it under all these years. You realize you've spent your whole life believing in other people and their strengths and their talents and never your own. Well, you've had an amazing day today. You've just done 2 very courageous things. You've told, hopefully, a stranger. You've told a stranger one of those deep, dark, negative things that people have taught you, that people wrote for you. You didn't write it for yourself. And the second thing is you've told that stranger something glorious and wonderful about you that you're going to go out and do tomorrow, right? Congratulations. You have achieved that. Did you just hear that? It was really faint, but you got to listen really carefully. You've got to be quiet. It's you. It's your voice telling your story.
I knew you could do it.
Thank you very much.
Shona and Jan.